today I am joined by Martin Smash Brown. I love that name, by the way. BKFC lightweight, ranked number 3 in the world, recently fought at Knucklemania 2. How's it going today, man?
Awesome. Good night for a better day.
Good to hear, man. So, obviously, you just fought at Knucklemania 2. Any takeaways from that fight, how it went down?
Nah, I just fought Palomino. I had just fought Bobby Taylor like 8 weeks prior, broke my hand in the fight. So, we did the best we could with the time we were given for the fight.
Oh, so it was a short notice fight. I didn't know it was that you had 8 weeks short to prepare for that one.
Well, it was for the number 1 contender slot for the belt. So like all we could do is what we could. Training, we did the best we could to promote the fight, the best we could, training with one hand. What you gonna do, man?
Was it your?
And then it's two. The biggest thing is I'm abnormally large for 55. I walk around in my 90s. So I think even bigger than the hand injury, because I was toward the end of the camp, I couldn't sit on punches on the bag, but I was able to touch the bag a little bit, and I had got to where I can kind of touch sparring partners a little bit. But and when I was in the fight, and I'm not a big proponent of excuses, so like I tried to throw it. I didn't have much time to practice with it, but I was definitely trying to throw it. But my timing was a little off. But the biggest thing that was the worst was doing both of those weight cuts back to back. It was kind of rough on me because I ballooned up like after fight, and then like once you first have hand surgery, you can't even really jog. So man, I was blowing all the way up to like 195, and I'm like, yo, can I jog? And he's like, just give it another week. Man. We don't want nothing messing up the screws and stuff. So after a while, like once I was able to do the jog, I had like 4 weeks to make the weight, and I made it. But man, I was dying in there. But it is what it is.
Was there ever any thought at all to pull out of the fight?
It's definitely a thought. But man, this has, if you go look at my track record and my career, this has been the story of my life. Like it was like when I was coming up. So I was living in Mississippi. We didn't have the resources we need to get ready. And I moved to Tampa, and I'm like, okay, I got better training. And I went on this knockout streak, and I'm winning. And every day it was like, one more fight, man. You're going to get to the big stage. One more fight. Like 6 fights later. And then we finally get to Bellator. And then Scott Coker bought Bellator, and they cut half of the squad. So I was like, oh, man, I'm one of those people who got cut. So then I go back in, and I have to work my way up, and I get on Titan, and I work all the way up to my head coach ended up leaving, so I ended up losing 2 fights. And he came back, and then boom, we back on the winning streak again. And I win 2 world titles, and I'm like, okay, one in Kazakhstan, one in the DR, and I'm on the UFC Fight Pass, so I have the platform, everybody to see who I am. And then we're like, well, are we going to get to the UFC? Like, what else is there to do? And they were like, well, we're looking for some younger guys. You're 35. And then so I was like, oh, man, well, I did my job. I did my part. I did everything that was asked of me. So then we go to bare knuckle. And, every promotion I'm on, I'm always going to end up being a belt holder. I don't think that's a physical trait. I think that's a mentality. But I am going to end up being a belt holder. So we go into bare knuckle, and I starch everybody they put in front of me except Bobby. But I put a pretty decent whooping on him, and boom, and then here we are, the Palomino fight, and it's like, man, I worked a long time to get here, and we had people in the camp saying like, man, I don't know, man, this might not be a good idea, but we were worried that we may not see an opportunity like that again. You know, because, I mean, here we're 37 and finally getting the big fight.
Yeah, world championship
you know,
fight.
Right. So what would have happened had I said, man, I just can't do it? They get an opportunity to somebody else, and then I have to keep fighting. And then we'll go through that same song again, the same song and dance again, like, hey, man, just one more. Boom, you knock somebody else out. Just one more. Just one more. And mind you, like, there is a lot of things in life that I haven't experienced yet, like kids, wife, all of that, because I have dedicated my life to this sport. So, I mean, it's hard to say in retrospect. You know, I want to be like, maybe I shouldn't have took the fight, you know, but I think my camp and everybody did the best they could with the options that were given. You know, they didn't know, you know, I'm an older fighter. And I'm not going downhill or anything, you know, but I think they were like, man, we don't know when you're going to get another chance. And so they pushed it. I mean, as you see, like, even I am a veteran fighter, so, like, even when things were not advantageous, you know, I still know my way around the ring. Like I got clipped, like, in the first round, like, the very first punch of the fight. And I thought, and I didn't know how bad it was because I didn't get hit in the eye. You know, I got hit with a right hand with something in my right eye. You know, so that was on the left side of my head, but something, I don't know what was wrong with my right eye.
In your last
fight? Had, like, yeah. And so, like, I didn't know how bad it was. But, I mean, I just been around for a long time, so I can still make do.
So how bad was that right hand? Like, could you throw one? Could you throw it at all? Like, anything? Like,
yeah, you know, I mean, it was talking about in camp or in the fight?
In the fight.
In the camp, I couldn't really throw anything, you know, until, like, the end. I was only able to touch the bag. I couldn't, like, sit on punches or anything. But in the fight, I as bad as I want to make an excuse, I'm just not that type of dude. Like, in the fight, man, I didn't even think about it being injured. I was throwing that thing. But, you know, I'm just exhausted. I mean, it's not even exhausted like that. It's just like I'm mentally exhausted going into the fight.
Right.
You know, there was a lot of things. Even outside, you know, it's just a lot of things going on in the fight. Even outside the fight, that it's hard to focus on just the fight when you get in there. You know, even you know, we had an issue with even with walkouts. You know what I'm saying? And it, you know, we don't know who was in charge, but I mean, even like we had a discrepancy, like, with a guy, it was a rapper that was supposed to be walking us out, and we get there and we about to walk out, and the police grab him right before I walk out the fight.
Really?
Literally, like, right before, like, so he's getting, like, he was told that he could walk down there with the mic, but the mic not turned on. And when he got ready to walk, I don't know whose call was it, but we get ready to walk out, and the police grab him and snatch him up. And, you know, I mean, my coach was like, man, you still got to keep your head in the fight. And it's like, man, he's like, go ahead and walk out, like, right after that. And we just went out and fought.
Right.
So, I mean, and you know what I'm saying? I don't even know how much of that I was even supposed to tell, but the reality is, man, I mean, we didn't have the things necessary, you know what I'm saying, to we didn't have things around that was conducive to being in a fighting mindset, you know. But, you know, even then, I still am a proponent of, like, if you in there, you need to figure it out. If you agree to it, y'all still gonna have to fight. You know, I think a lot of that going in, you know, I just didn't shake it off like I should have, you know. But I don't feel like I feel like, soon as we got out, the first thing all of my homeboys was like, man, I know, they knew. Obviously when you're in during the promotion, you can't say, man, we got this going on, we got that going on. And then that's the reason why we shouldn't watch the fight, because you're going to go in there and lose, So, but when we were, all of them, everybody sitting around me in the back room, man, and they haven't seen me lose in like 5 or 6 years. So, everybody like, man, we know we run that back 100 times, 99 of those times you're going to end up knocking him out, and it's like, it is what it is, but this time I didn't. Oh, man, we just got to go lick our wounds like a man and get right back in the lab. So I jumped completely off of social media and just started focusing on just getting healthy, man. Because, even when I fought Bobby Taylor, that was 6 months after ACL surgery. So like I never really got a chance to just.
So were you might not have even been recovered in the Palomino fight. You might have not even been recovered from that knee then, right? Fully.
No, I wasn't recovered. I wasn't recovered when I fought Bobby.
Right.
The only reason the fight, Bobby. I mean, the thing is, like, as bad as I want to beat Palomino ass, the one thing you gotta kind of at least give him. He is smart enough to notice certain things. And it's a reason why he's a belt holder. He did say this. He said that guy is flat-footed. And actually, I'm not. But you know what I'm saying? When I have after knee surgery, it does take a little time to bounce back. And he did the one thing. If you would have noticed that I have had knee issues when if Bobby Taylor had ran. But it was easy for me to make him pay because he was coming to me. I didn't have to chase him down. But I had to chase Palomino down, and it was easy to expose the fact that, like, man, he ain't got but one leg, But so this time, man, I've been heavily focused on my rehab and just making sure that before I walk in, man, my knees feel great. Because I honestly, I don't feel like, not only do I feel like any of these, at least not right now while the sport's still new, I don't think any of these dudes got nothing for me. And that's humbly speaking. I just think that I'm light years ahead of these guys. But I did need to focus on like instead of, like, I'm so used to going in there with limited resources. Like when we were fighting for Bellator, I didn't even have an MMA gym. I had a boxing coach and I had Brandon wrestling, a high school gym. And I went and fought a college wrestler in Bellator and beat him. So we usually just win anyway. So I'm so used to just doing that, I think that stuff caught up to me, drinking your own Kool-Aid, so that stuff kind of caught up to me. So I still feel like I'm the best on the planet. So, but I do need to start giving myself a better chance at dominating the sport, instead of just saying, I could do it. I mean, maybe when I was 25 or 26, 27, but now, like, I own 3 other businesses, and I don't have a 100% dedication to it in the past when I'm going into a fight. So I cut all of social media off and went ahead and I said, I'm going to focus on my business. I'm going to focus on rehab. And now I spoke briefly with filming at the Kansas fight, because we were cornering Jared Warren when he fought Doolittle. So I spoke briefly with David Feldman then, and he was definitely seeing what the next time I can fight. And then I'm not 100%, but my knee a lot better to where even in drilling, like I can move around now. Now it's just picking up the duration and I can move around and then I can bounce around on the toes like that. So like right now for the first time, I feel like it's not that my camps weren't taken serious, but it's being prioritized that, hey, when we're in training, this is all we doing. If you're going to compete with other people that's all they do, then you need to get to where you're doing the same thing. You wake up in the morning, you got first session, you sleep. I own a gym too. And I'm teaching. So now it's like even the next process of hiring a staff instead of teaching the classes myself. And, I'm in bare knuckle, but I still do jiu-jitsu. I'm still rolling and stuff, still teaching jiu-jitsu. So
Still
like
a martial artist.
Right. I still have to hire, if I'm going to put that much time into it, I'm going to have to hire staff for that.
You're a martial artist at heart, man.
Yes, sir. I try to be at least, you can't tell your own stories when you kick it. Somebody else going to have to tell it. So I tried to, we were in Mississippi. I was always a fan of it, but it always seemed so far-fetched for me. I didn't know anybody who ever competed at the highest level. So I left. I did mixed martial arts, and then I went to boxing. And then even when the newest sport came up and it seemed the most violent, like, man, I was a little paranoid about doing it, but it's like, you got what you got. You got to work with what you got. And I'm like, man, how will I be seen? How will my legacy be that of greatness? So, all right, man, I'm going to do this. And then we didn't know that the sport was going to grow that much. And then it's like, boom, now they got the BKFC belt and the Police Gazette belt. It's like, well, I'm not just going to compete in it. Now I'm going to try to be a belt holder. So I'm pushing to be seen as a true mixed martial artist. I'll never, when you got the likes of Khabib and John Jones and Adesanya, I'll never be seen as the greatest mixed martial artist on the planet. However, hopefully I leave my footprint on the planet and say, man, that dude did compete at the highest level in every art, or at least he tried. He did the best he could with the options they were giving. If you gave me a low-level guy, I was going to make him look like a low-level guy. It's up to them to just give me the shot with somebody great. And honestly, Palomino is totally undefeated. He's not just the BKFC World Champion. He's the Police Gazette World Champion. And so that makes him rank number one on the planet. And I don't feel like when I was in there, I didn't see anything that I didn't know how to deal with. I didn't see anything. I was like, oh my God, that's impressive. Holy shit, I need to worry about this. I didn't see anything like that. So I still feel like I just don't know if I'll ever get a shot at him again per se. But I can make 65 and 55. So I'm going to keep pushing for that. And I don't even want the belt. I just don't want him or anybody else thinking that he's actually better than me. Like, I would like to run that back, but from a business perspective, Palomino don't have no reason to do that. If I was Palomino, I wouldn't give me a shot. He's looking for the 65 belt. So the only way he would, if I go and fight whoever has the 65 belt, and I take that, then he got to come and see me. He got to come and see me. So, but like, what would be the reasoning to make that happen? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I just got to play my part. All I can do is go back in there and make the next guy pay dearly, and then we can start making a case for another fight. The thing is, even when you're dealing with the public, though, like, everything so there's a storyline always written. and there's always two storylines. Every opponent that fight, every time there's a fight, as a promoter and the matchmaker, you don't know who's gonna win, but you write those storylines out for the very next show, and that's part of your job. And so the thing is, like, no, I think I haven't done an interview since the fight, so you are the first person that knows anything about, like, only a fraction of the shit that was going on in the fight. It's so like, if the public only see the fight, right, and they see what they say, well, it just looked like he couldn't hit him, then there's no real argument for giving me another fight. You get what I'm saying? But the downside, you may say, why don't people actually tell? Because a lot of times it's either in your contract that you can't mention, like, things, discrepancies in training or circumstances in the fight, or a lot of times it's highly encouraged. A lot of times it's highly encouraged not to speak on those things because it could cast a shadow on the promotion. But here's my only issue with that is then you're given the option of casting a shadow on your brand. So you got to pick one. Like, you're going to protect the company and not say nothing about any of the injuries or any of the discrepancies, even with the promotion that you had before the fight, to protect the integrity of the company, or you be silent about that, and then people just think that you're sorry. You know, so, or you protect the interest of your brand. You're like, nah, this is what was going on, and this is why we had this. So you just say, the hell with it, I don't care what anybody think, I'm just going to do this. So, and those are the options you're given. And that is why it's always an ongoing battle with a lot of these guys with moving forward. You know, me, I don't care either way, because if there was a point in time where I'd rather die for this, you know, but like, it isn't all I do anymore. So, like, now it's just a shifting of the moving forward. It's just a shifting of the mindset. Like, okay, well, we have another fight, but you do have a lot of other shit going on. You have to choose when you're going forward. Like, what do you want to dedicate your focus to? Because it's gonna show up on fight day. If you know what I'm saying, like, if a guy is reminded that he's still a father, and he has things to live for, he's not gonna die for the sport. See, I don't have kids, so I'm willing, but I do got, like, modern amenities and comforts. So, so that's why moving into the next fight is gonna, like, now I've been stripping myself of those things, and seeing if I can get everything that's conducive to winning the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
sorry about that. It was super long-winded.
Right. So then, to segue, in a perfect world, what's the best scenario for you, for Martin Brown? What would be, in a perfect world, what would be next for you?
Honestly, I just take it one step at a time, but I can tell you what I won't do. I am no one's opponent or competitor. So, like, if I don't see a way to the belt, or, like, you know, it just got to be beneficial for me. Like, if I'm looking at the options, like, no one should feel bad for taking care of themselves. Like, nobody should be apologetic for that. Like, you ain't got but one life, and if you die and come back, you don't remember it anyway. So you have to treat it as if this is the only one you got. So I think for me, the first thing to do is go out there, clear my name, show the world, like, damn, the promotion, like, show the world, and for myself, the man in the mirror, show that what you saw in that fight, you know, that was not the best version of myself. And I mean, they're gonna see it anyway. Even if I go out there and lose the next fight, you're gonna be like, oh man, he's a lot faster, a lot more lighter on the feet, you know. He's walking around a lot lighter, you know. So that's the first step, is going out there and giving my best performance like I always do, like I normally do. And then the next step is, I think from there, just telling them what I want and letting them decide if that's something they want to do, you know. And you know, it's got to make sense, though. You know, it's got to make sense for the promotion. You can't just lose the fight, come back, win one fight, and then say, all right, I want a title fight. I'm not delusional. I get that. So I'm be reasonable about it. But we do need to talk about a road back to the belt. So it's like, give me a plan. Like, okay, you're ranked number 3. You didn't go down to number 10. You're ranked number 3. If they said that Chad Mendes is number 1, which I don't see how he beat up Fame, you know, but I get, you know, it's a game about money. And I think he got a way, well, I know he has a way larger following on social media. I don't know how many physical tickets he's able to sell, but he, you know what I'm saying? If they brought him on, I'm pretty sure he's worth the money. But let's be clear, that is the only reason he's ranked number 1. So, and it may be a valid reason, like the scoring may be, I mean, the ranking may be based on your follower. May not be based on your skill, because you can't get number 1 with one fight, and then your one fight was against Fame. Not to shit on Fame.
What would you rather have? Would you rather fight Chad Mendes or have a title fight?
I don't care, man. Honestly, like, I don't think I put too much stock in it, man. I think especially now after losing, you know, you kind of get, you ever notice when you lose something, you get clarity? I think it's like if you have somebody die in the family, instantly, all of a sudden you got clarity. That's kind of how this was, you know, like,
right.
Like, you know, I lost, and things are always moving fast, you know. You're trying to get tickets, so you are trying to get ready for fights. You have 1,000 interviews at one time. You're trying to manage weight. And if you got a girlfriend, wife, kids, or whatever, you're trying to manage that stuff. You know, if you own any other business, you're trying to manage that too, and maintain friends and family. And everything's moving so fast that you don't really check to see if you are good, you know, or if you're lacking something. You're just trying to do this job. And with some people, you know, like some people, what if your camp ain't going well? Like, if the very thing that you're working on is something that a guy does well, but you're having a problem doing that, then the worries of losing the fight is on your mind the whole time you training, you know. So, like, and that's not a case with me, but being a coach as well as a fighter, you know, I've seen that. I've seen fighters, like, say if he got a guy who's going to run in there and jump on him. I've seen the coaches go over schemes in the camp and tell everybody in the gym, hey, we're just going to try to emulate his opponent. And he get beat up by everybody. Everybody doing the style that the person in front of him is supposed to be doing. And it's like, oh, my God, if I'm having problems with them, I'm definitely going to have a problem with this guy. You know, so there's a lot of stuff that's happening real fast, and it's chaotic going into a fight. So I think, you know, as far as me, I think the biggest thing is coming to peace for myself, like deciding what I want and putting those things first. And if I decide I want to fight, I need to buckle down and make that a priority. And if I decide that I want my gym to be a priority of mine, then that's what I need to do. You know, I need to start, instead of writing out things for my camp, I need to write out things for my gym and make my students better. So, like, I say all of that to say this, you know, as far as Fame, you know, or Palomino, the first fight going back, the Palomino and the belt or any of that stuff, none of that stuff needs to be on my mind right now. Right now is making peace with myself, bringing the best version of me to the fight. And if that is Palomino, run it. If it's Fame, run it. I wouldn't want to fight Fame, but if it's if it's Chad, run it. If there's any of those other guys that they saying it's a prospect, like sometimes I talk to my coach and he'd be like, man, you don't need to fight a world beater every single time. He's like, you spent your whole career, you've always been on the B side. You've always been expected to lose. You always have, and you always prove them wrong, but you have taken the hard road. I don't know, man. It's like, it's all I know. So I'm cool with that. So like, and then I don't ever want to knock somebody out that's sorry or that everybody expected me to knock out, because then it usually won't get you to where you trying to go, because it's like, you see Charles Schultz is he coming out and he's shitting on all the 55, and I get it. It's a promotional tactic, and he's like, yeah, I feel like everybody's garbage, and he's 3-3. Well, now he's 4-3. He's like, I feel like everybody's garbage. They don't beat up everybody, and then the person that he beats up is Bruce. So it's so like that's not gonna be no road to November. Like boy, you beat up Bruce. You didn't beat up none of the guys that are top 5. So and the belt holder is number 1. So like it's everything everything you do gotta be it has to be a road to wherever your destination is. So like I wouldn't want to fight. I wouldn't want to fight somebody sorry. If I'm trying to get the belt, now I'm trying to get a check, or if it's something I'm just have to get my feet wet in, then I don't want to fight a world beater because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know if I'm gonna continue going and say, yeah, give me a soft target. But I ain't that. We at 3-1 right now. So like, just give me who you say is the man in this promotion, or who has a lot of hype, and I'll show you who I am, and then you determine for yourself, like, does he belong or does he not? And that's my thoughts on it. Ain't nobody's easy work.
So, where do you see yourself? Let's say at 37 now. 2 questions: how do you feel? Number 1, at 37, and number 2, where do you see yourself in 3, 4, 5 years? Still fighting?
I don't know. Usually it's time dictates agenda, man. So like, I think if I go out and I get knocked out or something like that in the next fight, I think that can psychologically do something to me. Like where you just lost to the champion, and then you got knocked out by somebody who's not a champion. Maybe you're not that guy anymore. I think that may make me say, man, I don't want to do this no more. Maybe it's time. Or if I suffer another injury, I may feel like, man, I'm injury prone now. It's time to let this go. Or I go in and I knock somebody off, and boom, we back on the hype train. I might start drinking my own Kool-Aid again, and I might just be like, all right, I'm the man again. Let's keep doing this.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I think it just matters, how things play out. Like we haven't seen, to be honest, Bobby Taylor is a ward, but we don't know what kind of injury he's sustained in that fight. And boy, he got hit a lot, and he just kept getting back up. And we haven't seen him since. So a lot of times, like, and he definitely was received by the public as a tough son of a bitch. Everybody thinks that, everybody was proud of his performance keeping Mississippi was proud. Hell, I was proud, me being from Mississippi, you know what I'm saying? I was proud that was the way he showed, that was the show he gave the public. So I think, you know what I'm saying? But you would think that with the performance he gave, you think that like, oh, he's gonna be right back in, he's gonna be this, but you just never know. You never know. Like, was the injuries bad? Was or sometimes, man, like a lot of these guys still work. Remember, he said in the interview, like he's like, I would love, and he does like, he does like construction or something like that. Like he working with his hands. in a bare knuckle fight. You know what I'm saying? While he's a bare knuckle fighter. So I think a lot of times what you do after the fight depends on the injuries you sustain in the fight, where you are as far as your ranking and your promotion, and sometimes where you are financially or where you at, where you at with your personal life. So I mean, 37, man. If I knock a couple guys off, I get a belt. I mean, Palomino is like 41, 42. If he had lost the belt, like who's to say he wouldn't be like, man, they ain't gonna keep doing this, man, because he'd have to work his way back up to the belt. But then again, I don't know. Like Joey Beltran lost the belt, got in there and just fought last night. And he got starched, but I'm interested to see at his age, like, what are you gonna do? Well, how do you come back, or if you come back at all? So I think a lot of that got to do with like how things play out.
Right. So to close out, I want to ask you something. How's it been different? So you obviously, for a large portion of your career, you were a mixed martial artist. You transitioned to bare knuckle boxing. What to you is like the main difference between it, like in terms of the preparation inside the ring?
You say what's the difference between the what?
Because you were obviously a mixed martial artist for a large portion of your career, right? And now you transitioned to bare knuckle boxing. So what to you is like inside and outside the ring? What has been the biggest transitions for you?
I think mentally going into the first fight, it is it's once you get over the psychological like hump that you are this is a bare-fisted fight,
right?
And then you kind of settle into, okay, I've been in some street fights before, so it's just a glorified street fight. You do have to train for it, but I mean, these guys are boxers. They are real boxers. And then the rules isn't boxing. You can still hold and hit. So MMA is still relevant, but it's you just don't spend that much time doing and you don't really spend that much time doing wrestling. You just spend a little bit doing techniques with the upper body as far as training is concerned. But mentally, I think going in there, you have to detach. You have to just detach yourself away from your flesh. And what I mean by that is, you can hit somebody in the forehead and break your hand. Or you can be winning a fight and get hit in the eye and get cut. And the whole fight changes. Or you can break your hand in the first round and then have to fight somebody the rest of the fight. So I think as far as technique, I've been fighting, so technique isn't too different. I think it's just mentally, you got to go in there knowing that if anything can go at any time. You are getting hit with something way harder than a glove.
How does a jab feel? Like just a normal jab compared to like with 4-ounce gloves?
It hurts. It's different. Like once you've been fighting for a while, I don't really feel punches anymore. So but you do know how much damage is being done, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like if you got a glove on and you hit me, I'm gonna be like, oh man, that was a good punch. And I may even see a flash. Even if you get hit in the head real hard and it gets fuzzy and your legs start going, you're hurt as far as like the fight is concerned, but you're not physically hurt. Like as far as like, ouch, that was a lot of pain, if that makes sense. But when you get hit with a bare knuckle, the concern isn't so much how hurt am I, it's like how damaged am I. Like, did he just break my face? Or did he break my orbital because he hit me in the eyebrow? Or you know what I'm saying? Like, he knocked my teeth out. because he hit me in the lip. I mean, I know like like I got out of the fight with Palomino pretty much unscathed, and I got out of the fight with Bobby Taylor unscathed. But man, when I got out of the fight with Bobby Taylor, I was fucked up. You know, like I was laying in bed for 2 days, but with Palomino, I remember there was one punch in specific, and he shot the jab, and I parried it, and the bare knuckle, like it went from my face, it hit me directly in the chest with the knuckle. And it didn't hurt when I was in there, but I remember walking to the corner when the round was over, and I was like, that is definitely going to hurt tomorrow. And like, you know, you can still feel, it's not in pain, but you can feel it. I was like, man, this is going to hurt to sneeze. This is going to hurt to yawn. Like, this is going to suck tomorrow. And sure as shit stinks. I got up in the morning, the next day, getting ready to drive back to Tampa, and I was like, oh, fuck. This sucks.
Yeah.
No, well, but, you know, it's a bad knuckle fight. But here's the catch-22 to that, man. Like, the fight is this. I do think the public needs to decide how they feel. Because you have somebody dies in a sport, they talk about how barbaric it is. When two people go out and they fight and they give the crowd, they feed the crowd's bloodlust. Two bloody ass fights, and then these guys hug each other, shake each other's hand, and they walk out, and the crowd is cheering. It's almost like they forget what we do. So a lot of times the promoter is tasked with the responsibility of trying to protect his promotion and say, hey, man, this is not dangerous. I mean, but the simple truth is that's a fucking lie. I have my literal, like, I am trying to put you in danger. They have a wrestler, a doctor, and your coach there to stop me from killing you. But when I get in there, I have every intention of dispatching you as fast and efficient as possible, which if there's no one there to stop me, I will kill you. And so I think we lie to ourselves about what we do. So, and we live in a world where you just need to make somebody feel good. You don't need to actually tell the truth. So I think in the sport, I think if they just told the truth and just said, man, I think that knuckle is a brutal sport. And because the simple truth is a lot of us, that's why we, like, at first I was like, this shit is dangerous. Once I got over that hump, it's like when you're young and you do shit you know is dangerous, but it's fun. You know, so or that is what's fun about it, is the fact that it is dangerous. And so that's how like everybody in bare knuckle knows damn well that this is dangerous. But we play around and we be like, oh well, I had more injuries in bare knuckle in MMA than in bare knuckle. But the reality is, man, I had injuries in every sport. I had injuries in football. You know, I had injuries in boxing when I had a boxing match. The dude headbutted me, and I thought he cracked my skull. I literally thought he cracked my skull. You know, so like this is what it is. But all of these guys had the opportunity to go to college and go to school or get a trade. These guys had, like, my mom and my daddy had a master's degree, and I chose to fight. I mean, that was in us. So I think the catch-22, it is a dangerous sport, and I was paranoid, but it was new. And man, some people want to know it's not about the world. Some people want to know who they are. I lay my head down at night, and if this is the most dangerous sport in the world, I lay my head down at night and I say, I did it. I fought great men and people that were dangerous. I fought killers. And I went in there and I slaughtered them. You know, when MMA was around, I won 2 world titles. I tried my hand in boxing and I won. You know, I won jiu-jitsu tournaments. everything I've competed in, I've, with the exception of boxing, but everything I've competed in, I eventually ended up being a belt holder. And so I'm not going to be a belt holder in that too. It won't be no different.
Great, man. So I think that's something I wanted to conclude with, and that's why I had asked you, because you guys are warriors, and I don't think you guys get enough credit. You know, I don't think you guys get the credit that you deserve. So with that, I say thank you so much for calling in, man, and best of luck to you in your future. Big fan.
Thanks, man.